Okay, I think I'm in. I had some technical difficulties a moment ago, but it seems to be working now. So, hi Sanja. Hi PPJJ. I think things are working now. I don't know what the deal was with the chat, but that's okay. Seems okay now. I switched browsers and the problem seems to be solved. Hi, Ascending Universal Butterfly. Welcome. I'm going to burn some Palo Santo to get started. I am burning a candle, and this is Palo Santo or Santo, Palo Santo. I think that's the right way to say it, which is sacred wood, which is very much like incense. The difference is like this will stop burning in a moment, whereas incense usually burns for, oh, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how big the stick is. I like both. I love incense. I also burn incense. But I like the Palo Santo, um, too. This is an old stick of it. This is a new stick of it, newer stick of it. It's just a piece of wood, it just looks like a piece of wood, but you burn it very much like you would burn incense. It's great. And then this candle's almost done, but it's a candle that I bought, when I was traveling, visiting the ocean, probably a couple years ago now at this point. And it had a dove of peace printed on the side of it. You can't really see it anymore now because I've gotten to the bottom of the candle, but I've decided it's time to use this candle up. I try to savor things, and I've been savoring this, but at a certain point, you got to say, use it. It's there to be burned. Burn it. Yeah, and the Palo Santo is for cleansing, purifying, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, so I've got lots of messages here, which is great. Hi, everybody. I know I haven't read all of these messages, but let me go through them now and start putting together a list for folks so that I'll know who we're reading for. And I know Ascending Universal Butterfly was first, and then PPJJ. Okay. And then Sanja and Benzaya. And then Ari, such a lover girl. And Simran. So that's 6 folks on the list. And so I'm going to stop there and we'll see what time it is once we get through those 6. And I'll do them in that order. that I just read, and if um, if I call your name and you're not here, I may need to skip over you, just to be fair to everyone else. So let me shuffle a little bit, and then we'll start with ascending universal butterflies question. And so I think ascending universal butterfly, you said you'll take any messages that present themselves. So it sounds like you don't have a specific question. So I'll tell you what I like to do when I don't have a specific question is shuffle the deck and cut the deck once. Look at the bottom card on each of the cut halves of the deck and read those two cards together to determine what the issue is. Then take the cut half of the deck, turn it right side up again, and pull cards from there to answer the question. So that's what I will do today. I hope everyone's having a wonderful morning or afternoon at this point. Gosh, the morning went away. I've had a lovely Saturday myself, a pumpkin spice latte and breakfast and doing some things around the house and very relaxing. Nice weather. And I thought it would be fun to do some readings. So here we go. This is for Ascending Universal Butterfly. We're going to see what messages come through. So there I've cut the deck. I'm going to flip both halves over. And these two cards will give us a sense of the issue at hand. And we'll flip this one back over right side up and deal cards from it to answer the question. Okay, so I don't have any context for Ascending Universal Butterfly. And so I'm just going to read these cards straightforward. And if anything comes up that you want to comment on, you're welcome to do that, Ascending. Otherwise, I'm just going to go for it. So 7 of coins is a challenge of some kind. Could be a problem or an obstacle. Or, challenges are good for us in the sense that if you're not challenged, you don't grow. And so I would see this, there's some kind of a challenge that has to do with resources or your values or something you're thinking about. And that's on its own could be great, right? This challenge that you are up against. But seeing it next to the 8 of Swords makes me think maybe you're not being supported in this challenge that you are up against, right? I think of the 8 Swords is it can be that there's a bad atmosphere that you're in, or that for some reason you feel like you're having to be defensive. I always think of this pretty little flower that's trying so hard to grow, but it's up against these big, sharp, mean swords, and so there's just not quite enough space for it. And so, it's possible that the challenge itself is related to the conditions that you're finding yourself in, or it could just be that there's a separate challenge and the conditions are not sort of perfect or conducive to your thriving so that you can address this challenge and grow, right? So that's the issue that's coming up is what can you do about the current conditions you find yourself in order to overcome your current challenges? All right, that's what I would see there. All right, so then I'm going to flip this back over so that we've got all these cards we can deal from. And we'll start with 3 cards to answer the question and see where that takes us. First card down is 2 of coins. This can be cooperating with someone, working together with someone, a partnership of minds. It can, if it's sort of inauspiciously aspected, it can mean a divided mind, like your values are split. That's possible. Followed by the Ace of Batons or rods or wands. This is about a new potential coming in. So replacing a current partnership or a current division in your mind with a new united potential, directing your energy towards something else. Okay. 5 swords. Okay, so here's what I see. The swords that come up on the upturned card here are it's an even number of swords, which I would associate with being on the defensive, right? And then the 5 down here with the center sword thrust through the other 4, I think is very much more like being on the offensive, right? Like here it's about defending yourself, and here it's more about like having a breakthrough these swords that you're sort of up against. And so a way that I might read this is that if you feel that you're sort of divided at the moment, if the challenge and the atmosphere you're in is putting you where you're like, should I go this way? Should I go that way? You have some kind of a choice maybe that you're needing to make, or it feels like you're being pulled in multiple directions and you have to sort of decide like where your true values lie or how you can best utilize whatever resources you may have available. This is saying take a new track, right? Like start in a new way instead of balancing back and forth with what you've got now. Uh, direct your energy in a new way so that you can have a breakthrough. And I'll also add that these cards become sort of increasingly active or aggressive even as I look at them. Um, you know, here we've got sort of stumbling over an obstacle or a challenge that you're facing, here being defensive. Coins are very much, I think, about giving, right? Or transacting, exchanging. The baton, the Ace of Batons here is more about like starting a competition or starting to build something, like giving, doing something. And then the swords, especially in the 5 of swords, this is like, of these 5 cards, is the most like um, aggressive, might be a way of putting it. Whoops. And so one message I might say here is like, don't avoid conflict. Like that, conflict isn't necessarily bad, although I am definitely the kind of person who prefers to avoid it. But it's necessary and can be really good. Avoiding conflict can also mean that you're not growing. Um, so those are the things that I would say here is if you feel like you're having to be defensive, and because of that, you're struggling and overcoming any kind of challenge that you might be up against. Um, Try a new direction, right? That might involve uh, being a little more confrontational with people. Like if other people are not letting you grow, you might have to sort of make them let you grow. That might be a way of putting it. Um, if there's anything about your current situation where you feel like you are holding yourself back because because it makes other people feel good or because it feels safer, the message here would be you would need to take a different track with it, start in a new way, which might involve, instead of being defending yourself, you might need to sort of push up against that fence that is kind of crowding you in, so to speak. Oh, interesting. Ascending says that's good guidance. It concerns a property. Ooh, a property. So a challenge with a possession. I mean, I don't know if you possess the property, but somebody does. Uh, this could literally be putting up a fence if there's a property involved. The literal or metaphorical fence of like going around the property. If it's about a sale, this here I would think an exchange of money. And the exchange of money, or this can also just be an exchange of ideas, like a conversation or the conversation that's being had around the property, is leading to a new direction. There's a new potential coming in either about the money or the conversation regarding the property, which is going to produce some conflict. But I'm not sure that's bad, right? Like, I'm not sure that conflict is necessarily a bad thing. Okay, so let me look at my list. PPJJ is next. And welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name is Will, and I'm doing some free live tarot readings today. I've got already a long queue or list of folks, and so I'm going to read through the folks already on the list before I add more names to it, just because I don't want to make any promises I can't keep. But if there is time, I will add more to the list, but we'll just have to see. Okay. You're welcome, Ascending. I hope everything goes okay with this property situation. Okay, so PPJJ, let me see if I have your question yet. And if I don't have it in the chat, if you could post it, I will. Oh, here it is. Oh, no, that's someone else. Let's see. Here it is. Prob. Could you tell me if Mark hates me now? Because I spammed him with messages. I genuinely thought he wasn't receiving them. He impulsively blocked me one day and then unblocked me. Okay. So it sounds like there was a kind of technical error, very much like I experienced earlier today trying to get this stream started. And so you accidentally, repeatedly spammed messages to this person. And now he's blocked you, but he's unblocked you. And so you're like, does he just hate me now? Okay, got it. And is Mark a friend, or is there some other quality to the relationship? Like, is he just a friend, or is this like someone you have a crush on, or an ex, or? Not a friend. He liked me. I liked him too. He just doesn't talk. Okay. So this is like a potential romantic interest who you haven't really dated, but you're maybe considering seeing if it could go that way. But he doesn't talk. That's always a problem, especially if you're trying to date someone. Talking is kind of essential there. So does Mark hate Prob? That's the question. Here we go. 3 cards to start, and we'll see where that gets us. 8 coins is the first card down. All right. The Empress. Queen of Swords. Okay. So, and you say you were in college, which very much makes sense with the 8 of I was going to ask if you were students together. And I think I might have read about this person with you before in another question on another day. So, because whenever I see 8s, I think of large groups of people, and coins, I think of ideas and resources, and money, of course, is a resource. And so when I see 8 of coins, I think like could be a bank, but could also just be a place where lots of people get together to think. And so that would make me think of a university, a school, that kind of thing. Okay, so I am reading the Empress and the Queen of Swords as sort of his double vision of you. He sees you in not just one way, but he sees you as transforming from one of these people to the other. Right? So like at first things seem really good and giving. Coins are giving, or like you can transact with this person, like you get along, right? It's not about you working together. It's not about conflict at first. Neither, though, is it about necessarily a deep-seated emotion. That would be cups, right? But it is like valuable, right? So he sees something of pretty great value with 8 out of 10 possible coins there. And then he sees you as the Empress, which is great. We love that. The Empress, she's caring, she's giving, she's nurturing. She's like a bastion of the civilized world. She is comfortable. She can communicate, all of this great stuff. If there's any negative tinge to the Empress, it would be maybe that she's over nurturing, over communicating, like, especially if you're saying that he doesn't talk much. One possible thought could be that he thinks perhaps, or thought perhaps, that you were wanting too much communication, like more than he was comfortable with, right? But it's the final card, I think, where we really see something that approaches your question of, does he hate you? And so I would see, like, at a certain point, he thought of you as the Empress, but now he sees you like the Queen of Swords, right? I don't know that hate would be the right word, but think of it this way. Instead of holding an emblem with a beautiful eagle on it and a scepter, right? And the scepter doesn't actually serve any function, no practical function, right? It's just a symbol of her ability to rule and reign, right? But the figure has put those down, and now she just has a sword, and a sword is a weapon. And weapons they can be for defending, but we use them to attack, and they can hurt others, right? And so I almost think, like, maybe a little more afraid might be another way of putting it, as opposed to hating. Um, Although maybe fear and hate go together. So I do think he sees you as someone um, who on the one hand can be caring and communicative and nurturing, but there's another side to the coin, so to speak, from his perspective. And excuse me, that other side is someone who can be overly critical, who has maybe like a sharp tongue, who can say things that hurt, and that is so he it might be someone, whenever I see the Queen of Swords, I think, if any of you are familiar with, like, Alice in Wonderland, the queen, the Red Queen, right? Off with their heads, right? The Queen of Swords is ready to go around beheading people, metaphorically speaking, and so if she gets angry, you do not want to be in her warpath, right? Because when all you've got is a sword, every problem looks like something you should attack, right? Um, so I think there's a wariness, a defensiveness, caution, anxiety kind of thing. But this is not the only way that he views you. Seeing these two figures facing each other, there's a double valence to how he views you, I think. And seeing the coins, it's like there's two sides. And so I do think he recognizes it's not like you're only or always the Queen of Swords. You can also be this wonderfully giving and nurturing Empress. But if the Empress is, for whatever reason, provoked, let's say, she turns into the Queen of Swords, and then you had better watch out, So that's what I would say about. So does he hate you? No, I don't think hate's the right word. I don't think we would ever hate the Empress, right? We might be annoyed, or like feel stifled by the Empress, and we might fear the Queen of Swords, and have strong feelings towards them. But I don't think it's anything so pure as hate. Okay. All right. So, maybe show him how you can be the Empress again. That might resonate, right? Care, communication, put down the sword and bring the scepter back up, so to speak. Okay, let me look at my list now, and let's see who's here. Sanja is next on my list. Yeah, letting him cool off could be a good idea, right? Like, um, you know, give it a moment for everything to sort of settle down. So if Sanja is here, hi Sanja. So if you'd like to post your question, you can do that. And if you have it somewhere else, I will look for it in the chat. Oh, I think I found it. Sanja, does Ivan have any feelings for me or like me? No contact at the moment. Does Ivan have any feelings for me or like me? Okay. Okay. So, does Ivan, I think I've read about this person before. So let's see. What are Ivan's feelings for Sanja? Okay, Ivan's feelings for Sanja. Okay, first card down. We're going to do 3 to start at least, and then... So Chariot is the first one down. So how does he think of you? He thinks of you in terms of the Chariot. This is someone who's moving on or moving off, like going somewhere, right? Someone who's going somewhere. Um, the charioteer wears armor, which can indicate that they are um, able to handle themselves when there's conflict. Can also mean maybe they're a little defensive. Um, Sometimes we think of the charioteer as the card that represents a person who is either like has just achieved something big in their life, like a graduation, for example. Like they've done something really great, and there's a kind of public recognition of it, almost like a float in a parade, that kind of thing. So there can sometimes be an element of showing off a little bit, right? Not necessarily in a bad way, because when you've done something great, why not show off a little bit? As long as you're not like boasting, right? Okay, let's lay another card though. Six swords. Okay. Interesting. Seeing this card next to the chariot is interesting because this card in traditional cartomancy can mean abandoning something or going the wrong way. There are obviously other interpretations, but sixes I think of often as paths. They're about movement, and so is the chariot. And so seeing these cards next to each other, it's like going down the wrong path. Maybe. What an interesting spread. Oh, just a moment. Sorry, hang on, everybody. Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry. So, how does he feel about you? Is there any possibility that he could feel like you abandoned him for something, for like another relationship, or for something else that you were going to find very fulfilling? Because this is I love this spread. I think it's really interesting. It's like he sees you as someone who drove off down what he thinks as the wrong path, but you ended up at this beautiful house. And so, how could this be the wrong path? Like, I wonder if he feels abandoned, right? Like you left him behind so that you could go do this, whatever this new relationship is, or just this wonderful, it looks like a house, right? And traditionally, Ace of Cups is a card that represents the home, right? The house. Um, so it's like he feels like you abandoned him, you drove off, and did something else. I'm gonna lay another card because the charioteer is looking at something, and I wanna know what it is. So let's take another card from the top of the deck. Um 3 cups. Interesting. So, um okay. So I think, or rather the cards say in my interpretation of them, or translation of them, depending on how you view it, that from his perspective, right? Because if we think about how the question was phrased, we're just thinking about what he thinks. We're not talking about what really happened or what you think or what it would look like to a third party objective observer. There's nothing like that. This is just what's his perspective. That's what the spread is showing because that's what we asked. And so from his perspective, it's like maybe the relationship you had was in a process of trying to grow. It was not yet stable, but it was, like, starting to maybe go somewhere, uh, but then you from his perspective, you decided to go off down what he would think is the wrong path. Doesn't mean it was the wrong path, but he would maybe describe it that way, like you left him behind in order to start a new, either to start a new relationship or just to be comfortable on your own, right? This, because starting a new relationship, that would be more like the Two of Cups, and but we just have the one, right? So there could be just like a unity of you by yourself, at home, having a good time. And so that's how I'd read it. Like, how does he feel about you from his perspective? At one time in the past, there was a growing relationship, growing of good feeling, and then you sort of drove away from that, moved away from that, leaving him to feel left behind so that you could be sort of happy on your own. Um, so that's how he would describe it in terms similar to those that he feels um, like, well, I guess he feels like you shouldn't have left. Okay. And so if the question is, does he have feelings for you? I think the answer would be yes, because if he didn't, he wouldn't care that you'd left. And I think he does care that you left, which means, he was hurt by it. Uh, and if he was hurt by it, uh, then there it is, right? The other thing to consider in the way the cards are landing on the table here are there is a movement from 3 cups to 1, but cups don't disappear from the spread, right? There are a lot of swords there. In fact, there's more swords than any other of the suits. And that would suggest there's a lot of worry or trouble or pain. But despite those 6 swords, there's still a cup there, which is a potential. Aces are often about potentials. And so, despite the bad feelings he might have, it's not like it's all bad feeling, right? It is very mixed feeling. We've got this the classically like worst suit swords mixed with the classically best suit cups. And so there are mixed feelings there, certainly. But all of the swords do not eclipse uh, the cups, right? We end the string of cards with a cup. All right. So let me look at my list. That was Sanja. So Benzaya's next. Benzaya. Okay, and I see Benzaya's question here. Okay, Benzaya wants to know about their son. Benzaya's been alienated from their son for 3 years, and it's his birthday today. Happy birthday to your son. The question is he okay? Trying really hard to see him, but for one reason or another, whatever the reason is, you can't. Okay, so the question is Benzaya's son okay? And welcome to anyone who might just be joining. My name is Will, and I'm doing some free live tarot readings today. Hello to SK. Hello to Wolfie, Queen of Pentacles. And I know there were lots of folks in there who I haven't said hello to, but hello to everyone who has joined. Hope you're all doing well. I got a very long list, a long queue when I first started the live stream 45 minutes ago, and I worked about halfway through it. So my plan is to work through the rest of that queue, and then we'll see if I have time to do any other readings. So in other words, the queue is not currently open, but I may open it again later. But right now we're reading for Benzaya. And the question is Benzaya's son okay? Okay. Is Benzaya's son okay? That's our question. So we'll start with 3 cards and see what we get. Okay, we've got swords down on the table first. We've got 9 swords. Okay, Knight of Batons. And 7 cups. So, is he okay? Yeah, he's okay. Like many of us, he's got ups and downs. Let's look at the cards in a little detail. I think the most important thing to see is that he's represented by the Knight of Batons in the spread. And so I would read this as a young man who is developing, who's taking action, who's making progress in life, right? And that's great. I think that's the key card here. I think the other 2 cards are sort of describing his environment, his situation, right? But the middle card is telling us the most about him. This card is sometimes thought of as a kind of adventurer, right? Someone who likes to go off maybe a little impulsively at times, and do things that excite them, right? And so that's great. There's no problem with that, especially for a young person, right? Who's trying to find themselves in the world. That's great. Um, the other two cards are telling us sort of his what's around him, right? And so let's look at the elephant in the room, which is the nine of um, swords here. And he has a troubled past. Let's put it that way. Nine swords is a lot of swords, and a person has to be really courageous and strong in order to move beyond nine swords. This is sometimes thought of as the card of anxieties, having to make really difficult decisions or judgments, sometimes even having feelings of regret about decisions that a person has made, that he has made, right? And feeling really like he's had to fight, right? That's how I would read this central sword that's piercing through the other eight swords on the card. He feels like he's been up against a lot and has had to really fight in order to continue. But he has, right? And he's not holding a sword anymore. He's holding a baton, which I think is good because while both of them can be used in kind of aggressive ways or to deal with conflict, the baton is a little softer. And the baton can be more like competitive than warlike, if that makes sense. Um, you can use the baton almost like a baseball bat or something, right? For playing games where you're still competing and therefore, in some sense, you're in conflict with others. But it's different than a sword, which is a weapon that, is really used to hurt people. And so there's a bit of softening that I would see in the movement from the swords to the batons. Which is one of the reasons that I would say, yeah, I think he's okay. Uh, he's had trouble, certainly, but it's nice to see at least that it's in that first card. The last card that ends the string is cups. And so we always like to see a string of cards end with cups because they suggest things are improving, right? And getting easier because cups are the sweetest suit. And we love things that come in cups like tea or wine or coffee or whatever beverage we like. They make us feel good. I say that as I take a sip of my tea. Seven is interesting though because there are seven of them here, and as I've said in an earlier reading today, I read sevens in terms of challenges that a person is up against, or potentially obstacles, right? Maybe a trouble that might be coming. And so this card, one sort of set stock meaning of it is a troubled heart, right? Um, Cups relating to the heart, the circulatory system, and sevens being troubles or challenges. And so, is he okay? Yeah, he is okay, but he's dealt with a lot in the past. And going forward, even though he's making really good progress, he's going to have some maybe emotional challenges, might be a way of putting it, that eventually he's going to have to um, deal with and overcome and grow through, right? Uh, and that happens to everyone, right? Especially a young person, a child or an adolescent. So that's likely coming up for him. But is he okay? Yeah, he's okay. Oh, his father won't allow him therapy. Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, That's maybe his father needs therapy. um, yeah, I mean, is someone who has a lot of swords in their past and a 7 of cups in the future likely could benefit from therapy. I see. He's scared of what the son's father is scared of what the son will tell the therapist, presumably about the father, and so the father is not allowing therapy. Well, that's too bad. I'm sorry about that. Is Ari such a lover girl here? So Ari, such a lover girl, would be next. If she is here. You're very welcome, Benzai. I hope it's helpful and gives you at least a little sense of comfort, you know. I think the best thing on that spread is the Knight of Batons, right? Like, he's growing up. He's progressing. He's developing, and exploring, and he's adventurous. And while he has swords behind him and 7 cups ahead, that knight can get through those things, get past and get through those things. Okay, I'm not seeing Ari in the chat. Ari's such a lover girl. And so if Ari's such a lover girl is not here, then Simran would be next. Is Simran here? Good night, Benzaya. See you next time. Okay, so if Ari's such a lover girl is not here and Simran is not here, then that's the end of the first list I had. So I think I'll do, why don't I add like the next 3. We'll do a group of 3 and see if we can get through those readings. And so I think the next would be Ete N5, N5D, is that right? There we go. Ete N5D. Hello, will I get a stable job for next year? Okay, that's what we'll do. So we'll do Ete N5D, and then Mark would be next, I believe, and then Johanna. Okay, so that's our next three. Okay, so Ete N5D wants to know, will I get a stable job for next year? So we should probably put, you sort of do have a timing aspect to your question already, which is next year. I usually don't like to go further out than about 6 months from the current date. So if it's all right, I think what I'd like to say is in the next 6 months at most, will there be a stable job? And I will say, I feel like this is a good time to say it because I don't think I have yet today, that all predictive readings are subject to change, right? Like everything in life is subject to change. And so just because, especially if you're going out, 6 months or a year or something like that, any prediction can be altered by events that we may have no idea about, right? So this is not fate, is another way of putting that. Okay, so we're going to start with 3 cards for Ete N5D. Will they get a stable job within the next 6 months? Queen of Coins is the first card down. Followed by the Sun. Followed by 2 coins. Let me take a look at this. And I'm actually going to put another card down because I want to see this Queen of Coins is either looking at her coin or she may be looking beyond it. So I just want to see, what is this card to the left of her? Okay, it's a sword. Okay, so I have lots of thoughts going through my head at the moment seeing this, because I'm thinking specifically about how your question is worded. I think the wording of the question is really important. And so you asked if you would get a stable job in the next 6 months. It's the stable part that I'm struggling with, because I'm not sure that I see. I guess we have to define stable, and we should have done that, or I should have done that before asking the question. If by stable, do we mean regular work? I think the answer is yes. If by stable, do we mean a job that pays enough? I'm not sure that the answer is yes, because looking at the string of cards, we're ending with 2 coins, and 2 coins is not enough, right? Uh, it's nice to have, right? And it's an improvement if we think of the way that the Queen of Swords has fought in looking for the job, and managed to turn the sword into a coin, right? Which the queen can spend and use to live. It's a resource, right, for survival. And the coin then turns into the sun. And so it's things are happy. That's great. It's illuminating life, and maybe there's even a sense of sharing with someone else. Um, and then that coin turns into two coins, and that's awesome. That's great. Coins are, if you're talking about getting a job, you're talking about getting paid, no doubt. And so there is a very slow progression of improvement in this spread. And that tells me, yes, there will be a job. Whether it's stable, I'm not totally convinced of, right? Uh, the movement of swords to coins says something tough becomes something valuable. And that sounds like job. The movement of the coin to the sun, well, that's about things being turning happy, right? And sharing with others. And then we've got two coins. So it's growing, but look how slow it is, right? It's like it takes us four cards to get from one coin to two. So it's a very slow um, increase of resources, might be a way to put it. And so is it steady? Yeah, but really slow. What I would love to see, if we had four coins here, that would say stable, right? Because think of four is a square, four is like a foundation you can build on. It's enough to support you, right? Two coins is like you're juggling them, you're rubbing them together. They're um, they're falling back and forth as opposed to like being steady, right? So I think there is a job, and there seems to be like it's heading towards a kind of four coins situation where things are steady. But within those 6 months, we've only gotten halfway there, if that makes sense. I would say there's definite progress forward, progress upward, things improving, but I think you might feel a little bit like, oh, why is this taking so long? This is taking forever. Maybe you already feel that way, but I mean, I will say, like, had we seen this, right? Like, had your cards come out this way, it's a totally different story, right? You start with two coins and you end up with none. You just end up with a sword that hurts. And so I'm glad they came out this way. I'm happy for you because now we have an increase. It's just really slow. So be patient. You'll have to be patient. All right, so looking at my list, we next have Mark and then Johanna. You're welcome, Ete. Good luck with the job search. I know it is really rough. Hi, Mark. All right, you're here. Great. So Mark and then Johanna. So Mark, you can go ahead and post your question if you haven't already. And meanwhile, I'll scroll through just to see if it might be in there somewhere. All right. This is a great question. Cool. So the context is Mark tried to sell their motorcycle and someone showed interest, but Mark wasn't sure about the deal. And so the question is, what guidance can the tarot offer about the energy around this situation of selling the motorcycle and how should you approach it? Wonderful question. I love it. I particularly love it because I've never read about a motorcycle before. So that's fun for me because it's a new context for me to think in. I've read about a truck for my brother. He wanted to know about buying a truck. And that went well, and he did, and it all worked out. But let's see, a motorcycle. Okay, so what guidance can the tarot offer about the energy around the situation of selling Mark's motorcycle? What's the best way to approach it? Great. And Johanna, you will be next after Mark. So we'll start with 3 cards and see what we get. Oh, the Devil. Always an interesting card to see pop up, and particularly when we're talking about a transaction or a sale, because when I see the Devil here, the Devil makes bad faith deals. The Devil makes tricky contracts, right? Like when you sign a contract with the Devil, there's fine print. Things are worded in such a way that there are possibilities you never could have foreseen, which are going to come back to bite you. Um, you like the devil's in the details, right? So you really would want to be cautious. Um, seeing the devil, like the devil also lies, right? So those are all things that, I think of, like iTunes terms and conditions where like you just agree to it because otherwise it would take you 17 days to like read all of the terms and conditions. And so you just agree to it, but like, what did you actually agree to? It reminds you of that kind of situation. Five coins come up next. And so this makes me think of getting your hands on some money. Five, because 5 fingers. And so getting your hands on some money. Ooh. But it's not as much as like 2 of those coins end up slipping through your fingers somehow, like the devil took them. So, gosh, this is such an interesting spread. The tarot continually amazes me when I see things like this. So, I mean, this is saying like selling this guy your motorcycle is like making a deal with the devil where you thought you were going to get 5 coins and you only got 3, right? Like it's not as good a deal as uh, it seems like it's going to be. This person is presenting the deal like it's pretty good. It's a 5 coin deal, but it's not. It's a 3 coin deal, and they are not accurately representing what is going to be transacted. That's how I would see this. The deal is not as shiny as it looks. Yeah. I mean, so um obviously you are a smart person who can make their own decisions, and you should. And you should never like just do what a tarot reader tells you, a tarot reader on the internet who you've never met, right? You make your own decisions. But looking at these cards, anytime I see the devil, especially if I'm talking about making a deal of some kind, I'm like, do I want to make a deal with the devil? Right? Uh, there might be some circumstances where you have to do that kind of thing, right? Like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, if it's that kind of a situation. But in general, I would think no, right? Like, unless you really are stuck, like if you need these 3 coins, so to speak, and you need them now, then maybe you do the deal, right? But if you don't need these 3 coins, then maybe you want to make a deal with someone else who's not the devil, so to speak, right? Of course, I'm speaking metaphorically, right? So, it seems like this is a situation where you could get 5 coins for the motorcycle. And if you make this deal, you're only going to get 3. So it seems like you wouldn't get what it's actually worth here. And unless you're there's a sense of urgency, or if you're like desperate and need them, then maybe you just do it because you have to. But if you don't, then I might say, give it a minute, right? Like try to find another buyer, right? So it sounds like the cards are kind of confirming what I think maybe you already sort of knew, just because I'm reading what you're writing here in the chat. He's complaining about the price, fixing things on the motor when the bike had 2 weeks on the road, telling you you're his brother, you can find him whenever you want for a ride. Yeah, I would not count on that actually happening. If it's like, hey, I'm going to buy your motorcycle, but you can always use it whenever you want, I would not. That's not going to happen. I would not expect that to actually happen. I would not guarantee. If he's like, hey, give me a discount and then you can come use it, expect to give the discount and never get to use it, right? That's what I would see here. Okay, so welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name is Will, and I've been doing some free live tarot readings today. I am getting near the end of my live stream today, but if you would care to subscribe to the channel, you will be able to see more easily when I am live. And Johanna was, I believe, the next person on the list. Yes, Mark, I think that's a good idea. Tell him you found another buyer who offered you a better price. You be the devil too. There you go. Fight fire with fire. Yep. That sounds like a plan. I would not engage with this person if you don't really have to. Okay, so Johanna, if you're here, I can read for you. So, Johanna, are you here? There you are. There we go. Okay. Johanna wants to know, what do my spirit guides want to tell me? Okay. So, what I'll do for this is like I did for, I think it was the first reading of the day for Ascending Universal Butterfly. I'm going to, because this is a very general question, and so I need to know what issue or area of life the answer is addressing. So I'll shuffle as I'm doing, and then cut the deck, and then flip the two halves of the deck face up to see what issue we're looking at, and then pull 3 cards from the cut deck to answer the issue, respond to the issue. Okay, so that's what I'll do for Johanna. And I think, everyone, that this is going to be my last reading for today. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you'll be able to see more easily when I am live next. My name's Will, and this is my channel, Hermit's Lantern Tarot. So for Johanna, what do your spirit guides want to tell you? Okay, so there's the cut deck. We'll draw from here, but let's flip these and see what we've got. Wheel of Fortune. And the World. My. Wow. Look at those. So, Johanna, there's a message that has to do with your fate in the world. Your ups and downs, you're spinning on the wheel in a way that you don't have control over. And how you fit in, right, amongst the rest of the world. So, let's flip 3 cards and see what they say. The first card down is the Hanged One. We've got 3 cards and they're all majors, which is, well, major, right? So with the Hanged One, I think of standing still at the moment. The Hanged One's not going anywhere, right? They're not moving. They're kind of maybe just hanging out, so to speak. It can also mean having a sense of feeling like you are sacrificing yourself in some way, even to the point of martyrdom, potentially. Or it could mean that you're being punished. You feel like you're being punished, or you actually are being punished by someone, or potentially feeling like a scapegoat. Those are all things I associate with that Hanged Man card. 4 batons are next. It's a steady amount of effort, steady amount of pressure, steady amount of work. Building a foundation of something. And then 2 swords. So let me just look at these for a moment. Hmm. So, I have no context, and so I'm not sure exactly which area of life to look at. The pip card in the middle, the 4 of batons, makes me think of either your work life, like career kind of stuff, job stuff, right? Or maybe the way in which you might be building, putting energy into a relationship with someone. So I think either of those are potential contexts for these cards. I think what these are saying is that through no fault of your own, you are being hung upside down. Like other people are coming for you or preventing you from moving forward. And there's a kind of stalemate where there's like not a lot of movement happening here with the hanged one. And then the 4 of batons is like a stalemate, right? Like reaching a level where things don't change. And the wheel up here is saying, like, this is a cycle. This was always going to happen. This is not, um, number one, it's not permanent. But number two, it was unavoidable, if that's a way of thinking about it. And what is coming next that is going to move things forward so that they're not just hanging, they're not just at a stalemate, is this 2 of swords situation. And so the 2 of swords can certainly be a choice, that there's a choice you may be confronting. That's a classic interpretation of the card. Sometimes it can mean an argument. If you think of the way that 2 people locking swords, in battle, it might mean like if there's some other person involved in this context, you might need to sort of hash things out with them, right? Like if an argument or some kind of conflict has been brewing and is not coming to the surface, the only way to break through this situation is to let it come to the surface. And then the third thing I think of here is specific to the image of the full card, not just the swords on it, but the flower. This flower, this is the largest flower, I think, in the whole deck, but certainly in the suit of um, swords. And so it is able to grow so large because of the boundaries put up around it, the swords put up around it. So I could think also of perhaps needing to draw boundaries with someone or with some situation so that you can grow as big as that flower, so to speak. Um, so that is the message, right? The situation the message is addressing is, and you said you've been trying to like talk to your higher self. So that would be the world, right? And um, Wheel of Fortune is saying, like, there are ups and downs to that, and right now, if there's not a lot of movement happening with it, uh, the way to cause that movement to happen is maybe to do something that's a little uncomfortable. That might be a way of putting it, because batons are about the effort we're putting into something, but it seems like the effort that's being put in is, like, steady, like, it's just enough. I think a 4 is often is just enough, right? As opposed to too much or not enough, right? 4 is, like, just enough to cover all your corners, just enough to make it steady, right? And the swords are saying, actually, you kind of need it can't be just enough. It can't just be putting in effort. There's a little bit of, like, you've gotta fight for it a little bit. Not a lot. We're not talking 8, 9, or 10 swords. We're talking just 2, but it's gotta be a little bit sharp, a little uncomfortable. If it's not uncomfortable, then there's not change, right? So, Johanna, I hope that helps. And for anyone who might be joining, my name is Will, and I've been doing some free live tarot readings today. I am at the end of the live stream. Thanks to everyone that I was able to read for. I appreciate your insightful questions. Those were a lot of fun. If I wasn't able to read for you, I'd love to read for you in a future live stream. Please consider subscribing to the channel so that you can see when I will be going live. I'm going to end, but I just want to make sure Johanna, um, if there's any, I don't want to just close it down, but I guess I just want to hear from you that you heard me. um, although I suppose this will be posted on my YouTube channel. I think it takes like a day or so to be processed, and then YouTube automatically will put it up there. So if you're like not here anymore or missed anything, you will be able to watch the recording, not immediately, but you'll be able to watch it once it's posted on my channel. Okay, well, I'm going to end the live stream. Johanna, I hope that that resonates with you, the reading. And that will do it for today. I'm about out of tea, and it's lunchtime here, and I'm running low on energy. So that's going to be it for me today. But I look forward to seeing you all again soon in a live stream and reading with you. Be well, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.